Hello, my wonderful people. In this particular video, what I'd like to do is talk about the course, what we called the Complete Guide to Visiting the Amish of Ethridge. Now, what I'm going to do in this particular video is I'm going to look on my computer because I'm going to be reading from the course itself. I made up every bit of this, okay? Because I want you to have a great time planning your trip, learning a lot about the Amish, the Anabaptist movements, why they have a lot of their peculiarities, what we would call the etiquette of having to talk to another culture, all that sort of thing. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of faux pas and mixed up things that we typically is what we would be called English by them. You could be Japanese and you're English. And I'm going to explain a lot of these different things to you during this course. It's going to be well over 20 something hours. So it's not something I could have done in a video like this, all right? So I'm going to try to set up this course for people that are usually not local. That means you're going to be coming to the Ethridge area from somewhere far enough away to where you're probably going to have to stay the night in a hotel or one of our bed and breakfast or some of our many places that we can stay here. And then also include some places around where you'd like to see. It happens to be that Ethridge is right between Music City and Rocket City. So in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, people from all over come to see something that is in Nashville. Obviously, the Space and Rocket Center and Bird on the Mountain and just some awesome things in Huntsville or Birmingham, Montgomery, all these places just south of us. The studio tours in Muscle Shoals is only like 40 minutes away. So there's a lot of things that people would love to see in this particular area. We're also known here in Lawrence County as the birthplace of Southern Gospel. In a way, we started the music scene back in the early 1900s before the other two actually took off. So we got a lot of music history ourselves, a lot of other history. This is also where David Crockett started his political career, all right? So you see Crockett everywhere. Of course, he was mythologized by Disney to be the king of the wild frontier, all that sort of thing. So there's a lot of interesting stuff within driving distance of this little spot. So if you're coming from a longer way, you're definitely going to be helped by this particular course. I'm also a tourism professional, have been doing this since 2010, and I'm putting everything in this course that would be relevant to visiting the Lawrence County. Now, I do have a bigger course coming, but that's not in this particular video, okay? So once you see in this particular page, if you look below here, there's going to be button links where you can go and purchase the course. I am making it available for $50 for a while. Once I see a slump in sales, it will go back up to $80. Now, we'll throughout additional years either bundle it with some of my other courses, or I'm going to have a discount where I'll run it for a certain length of time. And it's just that, hey, I have bills to pay too. I have a lot of this green screen and these microphones and computers. All of these lights, in this studio cost a lot of money, and I am the CEO of my company, so it's my job to make the company money. We all understand that, right? But I feel for $50, it's more than enough bargain. It's 27, I think, lessons long. Like I said, well over 20 or 30 hours of instruction. So I think you're getting your money's worth. I also didn't want it to be so high that it becomes unbuyable, because nobody's going to spend like $1,000 for a course to see the Amish when you can just go see the Amish for free. That is true. However, I want to make your vacation very good, very memorable. So what I'd like for you to do, if you do take this course and you do have a family, take it as a family. I'm not kidding. Just take it as if you've got other people coming with you, just invite them over to your house and say, we're going to go through and learn a lot about this particular culture that we're wanting to go visit. So bring them over, make some pizza, you know what I mean? Just have a good group of people, like a family event. You know what I mean? I would love for that to happen. I'm very pro-family. I love being a family man. So in this particular video, what I'm going to also try to achieve is that to decide whether or not this is for you. if people get it and they don't like it, I don't really know how to refund money and stuff as much. And then too, a lot of people steal courses. They'll go in and then they'll copy everything, and they might make an AI system mimic me, and then they'll repurpose it. Then they'll ask for their money back. So at the time, I'm very limited on my ability to return money. So what I want to try to achieve is to see if this is for you. Now, if you do live locally, it's still for you, okay? I show a lot of things that you might not know about the Amish people, all right? I also talk a lot about best practices. Even what I'm wearing is covered, all right? I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. And a lot of the etiquette and some of the myths. Oh my goodness, there are so many myths out there that I've had to just ask them and dispel them, all right? So some of them are like, they believe that the camera takes your soul. That's actually not true. They don't believe that the soul could be taken from the body before death. So to say that the camera takes it in a living condition is sort of silly to them, right? So they don't have that belief system, even though a lot of people swear up and down that they do. And there's many more that I talk about in the course. So what I'm going to try to show you in the next little bit is that what you're kind of seeing, or what you'll see in the course. You'll obviously see majority of me like this. Behind me is a green screen. If I clap my hands, it changes because I do that in post-production. All right, so in post-production, I'm able to change the green screen out, all that sort of thing. These items here happen to stay. An Amish hat is kind of the symbol of the at least male members, and this is pretty much a depiction of female members. All the dolls can't have a face because they believe only God can make the face. And this particular doll even has a dress that buttons in the back, which is customary of a smaller child. Their dress, or most of us call it a uniform, even though they don't really like that. So I'm also going to cover why it is that you'll see certain things on the desk. This will go away here before long, but I'll explain kind of why we have two separate size notepads, because I want you to write things in your handwriting, and also for these, they go really good in your pocket. Now, speaking of things that go good in your pocket, if you do have a phone, unless you're taking this course on the phone, because let's face it, most of us are watching this video on the phone. Most of my videos are best if they're turned sideways, and so that you can see more screen. You can scroll up, all that sort of thing. So if you are taking the course, realize that. They also do better on a laptop or desktop, because the software that I use typically favors them. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is some of this stuff also. So once you do purchase by going to one of these buttons down below here, and what that'll do is it'll allow you to purchase the course, but it'll also allow you to make up a login and a password. That gets you onto my website, the Progeny Adventure Group. Even if you came from, say, Facebook or Instagram, or maybe my other website, the Amish of Ethridge, .com, and you've landed here. And it's because I have a lot of very high-end plugins to make sure that we're safe and secure. Our payment gateways go. That way nobody gets messed up with billing. I'm really particular. I cannot stand a thief, and I don't want anybody to get their card stolen or anything like that. So I paid for the good stuff so that we can make sure that that transaction happens. It also, once you set up your subscriber level, it's free. I mean, that part's fine. It will go to a dashboard where you can show wherever it says my account, and whenever you see your Gravatar image, if you've been to Gravatar, or else it'll just show a little outline of you, obviously. It'll allow you to log in where you can find your courses, your account, in case you forget what you said. What if I forget my password? Well, you can go back through that email that is sent to you to show you that you've purchased our course, and you can follow it back to your account where you can set a new password. And so what that's going to do is get you into the course where you're going to see the complete guide to visiting the Amish, where there's going to be an overview section. Please watch that overview section once you purchase the course. It's like 17 minutes long. It'll make a whole lot more sense of what you're seeing. Now, this video is going to be kind of long because what I'm going to do is kind of in the overview, but I'm going to do it from the standpoint that you haven't seen anything yet. So once you go past or you get onto the first screen and you see the course overview lesson, you're going to see this next, once you click next lesson, it's going to pop up into module 1. So let's talk a little bit about the modules, the chapters, and the lesson systems, okay? Because you're wanting to know what it is to buy this course, what it's going to teach you, and all that sort of thing. And that's what I want to do in this particular video. So I'm going to explain who I am. I know even if you've watched me for a long time, for years, I explain a lot in this Meet Your Tour Guide section that I don't tell just everybody, okay? So consider yourself buying knowledge that I'm not going to tell you just for free, all right? Let's face it. Most people won't do everything for free, and I'm no different. This took months of my life to make this course, and it's the only way I make money. I do that because I used to do more advertising things as a tourism professional. It took me to 29 different states. And once I took that knowledge, I tried to apply it. And of course, in the age of AI and trying to get a particular return on investment, it's all kind of closed. So I switched everything once I become the founder and CEO of the Progeny Adventure Group that owns all of this. I went into the education space, the parenting and travel area, and that's kind of where I'm coming from here. But because I closed everything, I have to get money somehow, so I charge $50 for this particular course. Now, once I go through meeting your instructor and overview, what I'm going to show as far as meeting me, we're going to talk about the Anabaptist movement. Now, keep in mind, the Amish, or what we'd call the followers of Jacob Ammon, Amish, kind of like Minnow Simons, Mennonites. You see what I'm getting at? Jacob Hutter, you see what I'm saying? So we're going to talk a lot about that Anabaptist movement that come out of the Great Reformation. So what we're going to do is pretty much show you what's happened in Germany before this time period. Not as much as my other courses. We're going to lightly touch on the history. By all means, if you have a kid or a person in your life that's really big into history, they're probably going to like this particular lesson here in Module 1, Chapter 1. So once we go through the Anabaptist movement, that just shows us how we get from Germany to Pennsylvania. Obviously, that's where the majority of Amish still live. Now, from the Anabaptist movement to Pennsylvania, we're going to go from there to Ohio, where we're going to talk about the Old Order Amish. 1865, right after the Great Civil War. You could imagine they're probably not sure about us English anymore, so they form an old order that will split off of the main group. And from that old order, they're going to come the Yoder faction. And from the Yoder faction, we're going to get a Schwarzentreuber line, okay? And that one of those lines are going to come to Ethridge, Tennessee. So we're going to show you how they got to here. And I feel like that's a pretty good idea of like wanting to know how they got here and from a historical standpoint. And what is Ethridge anyway, and what brought them here? We're going to talk a lot about that in the course. Like I said, it's only going to cover one lesson apiece. How we got the Anabaptist movement, and how that Anabaptist movement became Amish, and how that Amish line eventually came to Ethridge. Then we're going to talk about in Chapter 2 what we called So What Am I Looking At? We're going to talk about the 8 physical or non-physical parts of the heart. Not really the beating heart, but the Amish heart as far as forgiveness. We're going to talk about suffering in silence. We're going to talk a lot about community. We're going to talk a lot about a lot of things about what you can't physically see. Like this is a doll. We could tell that's a doll, but if I said, pour me a glass of forgiveness, well, there's it's a thing you can recognize but can't, physically see. So we're going to talk a lot about those because it's going to come up later, all right? And then we're going to talk about the 8 physical parts where we basically draw a little Amish person in the middle, and then we sort of show a home, animals, farm, money, school. We're going to talk about negotiating with the English or the outside world, all that sort of thing. And then, of course, in the last of this, we're going to have the 8 grades of youth, or 8 grades in the early life of youth, because we're going to go from basically having babies, not really like it's going to be, it's very much G-rated. We're not talking about the other, but from when they start having their own kids to when those kids start having their own kids. We'll talk a little bit about how they do retirement and all that sort of thing. It's very interesting. Actually, we as English need to do some of that. You know what I mean? I'm definitely opinionated in some of this, especially when it comes to the doggy house. A lot of time we'll take elderly people and we'll send them to a nursing home when they didn't need anything but housing. There's nothing wrong with them. And we could do like a little doggy house situation at our own house and save thousands of dollars. Anyway, it's in the lesson. In Module 2, like I say, there's only 4 modules. Module 2, we start talking about preparing your visit. In the first part, we learn a lot about them. Now we're learning a little bit about us, what we need to do before we get here, okay? So we're not going into the logistics just yet, but we need to do a little bit of stuff for us first. So in Chapter 1, we're going to talk about what we want to wear, this time of year we want to visit. Because if you're coming in the middle of the summer and you want to have a 3-hour conversation about how they store things, give that up. No Amish person anywhere is going to talk to you for very long during the summer, because he's going to be like, I got things I got to do. But if you come about the 20th day of December and everything's dead, everything's put away, there's not really much, maybe they might just let you come in, sit on the couch and look at the fire. And like I say, they don't have Facebook, they have Face Look, and you could talk to them and they'll listen to you, and they'll tell you all. They're usually pretty good about telling you all about it. So that's what I'm saying. If your X factor, sort of like algebra, is to have this big, long, lengthy conversation about food storage or something, you're going to have to come more in the winter. You know what I mean? Late fall, early spring, when they just started, making the transplants out in the greenhouse, and there's nothing to do except wait. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk a lot about picking out your time of year. Now, we're also going to go talk about from there on is the do's and don'ts of etiquette, okay? There's a lot of things you can say or do that will offend them to no length. Like for example, okay, say for example, you're talking to somebody for a little bit, and all of a sudden you get a phone or a phone call, and you say, hold on, can you excuse me? And you do this. As soon as you do it, it's over, okay? Because that Amish person's going to say, you came all this way to see the community, and you're going to take a phone call right in front of me, and it's just, you break that connection with them by answering the phone. It's like, well, what if it's important? Well, then tell them, listen, this is very important, like if the hospital calls. But other than that, man, I tell people, just leave it in the phone, just leave it in the car. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things in this do's and don'ts of etiquette, all right, that I'm going to talk. I think it's like an hour and 25 minutes because I recorded everything, and now I'm doing the sales page. So that's why I talk about it. All right, in Chapter 2 of Module 2, we're going to talk about mapping your routes and adding dots. What I mean by that is if you live, say, for example, in She Came Down from Cincinnati, you know the song. All right, well, from Cincinnati, you're going to have a bunch of little dots through places like Munfordville, Cave City, Bowling Green, Kentucky, where they have the Corvette Museum. And if you're a car guy, because you've lived in Cincinnati, as I'm making up this as I go, and you didn't know that you could stop there, you're going to feel like, oh my goodness, I had no idea this was here. And as a car person, you could stop in the Corvette Museum and have a really good time. And as you come south, you might find out from our video that there's also a Lane Motor Museum in Nashville. And you're thinking, I've hit the car jackpot. This is great. And you'll see some one of one kind of cars. You know what I mean? If you're a car person. Obviously, if you're a guitar person, you're going to love Music City, all that sort of thing. If you're very into, for example, history, it just happens to be that Andrew Jackson and James K. Polk, which were United States presidents, are just north of here. So you could visit two, presidents' houses coming from Cincinnati down. And I just pulled that out. If you want to go from Little Rock over, we'll do that one. If you want to go from Charlotte, North Carolina over, or Tallahassee, Florida up, it don't matter. Wherever that is that you're coming from, we're going to talk about how to kind of Google up how to find different things along your route so that you can attend something. And then maybe what we call the lasso method, we go back around and maybe plan a different trip, say, to another place around, okay? So we're going to go through a lot of these because what that happens, it enhances your trip. It has nothing to do with seeing the Amish, but it has everything to do with you being on the move, okay? Well, then after that lesson, we're going to go to this lesson we called Stop and Smell the Roses, which is going to be a really good lesson on time management. All that sort of thing. Then we're going to skip down to Module 3. The reason we're going through this order is because it just happens to be the best when it comes to planning a vacation anywhere. So if you buy this course and you want to use it towards, seeing something like Sedona, Arizona, which is an awesome place, Moab, Utah, if you're going to the Tetons, if you're going to Yellowstone, you're going to the Redwoods, you're going to see, Maine lobster. I mean, whatever you want to do, you can use this template basically and plan a really good vacation. So in Module 3, what we're going to do here is we're going to really get down to, once you know the history, Module 1, once you know kind of some etiquette, what to wear, that basically helps you what to pack, how to start becoming something that the Amish person can talk to. We're going to start planning our vacation because now, we've already established we're coming. We're going to see these Amish. You know what I mean? And so we're going to go through the what we call the 3 + 3 + 1 sort of breakup. So what we do is we take the three kind of more conceptual ideas, what we call find your Amish heart, because if you don't have a really good reason, it just becomes curiosity. What we want to do is really isolate what makes our heart get emotionally charged thinking about those beautiful farms and the houses and the kids running around, something that really resonates with you right there, that person. I want it to touch you so much, so hard, so deep that you never forget it. So we're going to find our Amish heart. Then we're going to select our season, like I talked about earlier, in the second chapter. And in the third chapter, we're talking about include a local attraction. It just happens to be that Lawrence County is the birthplace of Southern gospel music. We were kind of known for music before. The place is just north of us. Like I said before, Nashville is Music City. Just below us, like 40 minutes to an hour drive into Alabama is where you're going to find Fame Studios and all that stuff in Muscle Shoals. All you have to do is look up Muscle Shoals, Alabama, music, and just have a ball, because there's documentaries made from all over the world here that have to do with that particular music scene in Nashville and up in or down in Muscle Shoals. So also you're just 53 miles from the Space and Rocket Center. Keep in mind that Huntsville's also home to Space Force, and it's called the Redstone Arsenal. Now, you're not going to be able to go hang out at the art. It's a working Marshall Flight Center. You have to have a top secret clearance, and they're not going to give it to you. But anyway, that's where you're going to find like the most modern of, Blue Origin and SpaceX, and they have a bunch of different kind of put it this way, there's a lot of interesting things down there. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. But they do have the Space and Rocket Center you're more than welcome to go to. They want you to go. Bridge Street is an awesome place, Bird on the Mountain, all those places. So we're going to talk a lot about a local attraction. And also to the north, south, east, and west. We kind of cover all of that. In the second section here in chapter 2, because like I said, the first 3 are kind of conceptual. We're going to talk about entertaining the thought of you go seeing them. In the second part of this is what we're going to do is you're going to find a lodging location. Now, anybody that's ever stayed in a motel knows that if you're a motel person, you're going to be right at home. We got a really good one. We got another one building, right, or in the building phase at the moment, because I tend to book out the Best Western Plus at the moment, so they're building a Hampton Inn. So there should be plenty of places. But if you also want that, I want to take this time to have a bed and breakfast, and I want that campfire experience where we can gather and burn some wood and put hot dogs on a stick or make s'mores as a family. We're going to cover all those too. Also, keep in mind, if you take and you go to the hotel and they got an indoor pool, your kids are probably going to love you. However, if you want the peace and quiet and you're going to stay here for 2 days, book a night at the hotel, book a night at one of the bed and breakfast. That way you have both of them covered. So I'm going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about discovering your inner foodie. Now, Lawrence County is kind of a retirement village, so there's a lot of different good foods to eat. And some of you guys are going to really love some of the places we have around here. They're all local. They're not chains. They're owned by people who work behind the desk, behind the grill, and they make you really good food. And I know a lot of times people want the chain experience because that way you know what you're getting. But I'm going to take you through all the different places because I also own the Visit Lawrenceburg, Tennessee line of stuff. So this is kind of where we put things that don't fall in the Amish way. So we're going to put those over there on my other page. So I kind of just tell you a little bit about the places you can go. Now, keep in mind, we do have some places where, we have a barbecue place where like Kevin Van Dam and Bill Dance and all them, they take their helicopter. They literally fly to eat at Schaefer's in their helicopters. Just look up if you don't believe me, look up Schaefer's barbecue helicopter. I'm sure you'll find it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Along the way is where we're going to have a little local trips, because if you want to shoot machine guns or paddle down the river in a kayak seasonally, you know what I mean? There's a lot of different things you could do here. So those are going to be multi-hours long. And then the bonus lesson at the very end is where we're going to match this with an event. Like I said before, if you want to take in a show or a Crockett Theater, something like that, that's where this is going to kind of come in. So that's going to wrap up Module 3. Now, Module 4. This is where we're going to have the experience, okay? I put it that you are here. It's kind of like having remember at the mall or one of those places, it's got a little star and it says, you are here. And you're trying to find the restrooms or something. And you're looking around frantically. Where am I going to find the restroom? And so you need to know where you are to know where in relation you are from everything else. So we're going to use that sort of belief to find where it is that you would like to go. So that's where we're going to kind of come in here to the very first lesson, what we called culminating your knowledge. What we're going to do is take everything you've learned from Module 1 up to 4, and we're going to kind of paradigm all of this so that we can start making really good decisions. All right? In the second chapter, that's where I mentioned in the earlier part of this particular video, we're going to go through, and for 2 hours and 7 minutes, that's the length. Obviously recorded way more than this, but I start off in the morning showing you how to start off with a good cup of coffee, remaining calm. All right? So once you get emotional control, also familial control, unless you're, I guess, by yourself or driving around with your dog, I guess then you need you and the dog to be sort of in control. And we're going to set up our car. We're going to show you how we take and make a snackle box And we take a little group of snacks. We also show you how to bring things for cans, because if your cans start slapping together, because these roads are terrible, I'll just be honest, they're full of potholes and they're just not very good roads. And if those jars start smacking together, you're going to have a mess. And you're going to remember that year that all those pickles drained into your seats if you're not careful. But when that nice man with that funny looking hat told you to get this particular thing for your jars, you'll be like, I'm so glad he did. I hit this hole. It was 9 feet deep, it looked like. And you're going to remember, man, those jars would have bad. Also, how you make a trunk organizer if you don't have one, to buy one. Also, whenever you buy like a raw butter or something like that, you're going to have a cooler. So we show you how we personally, since we live in Lawrence County, I grew up in Ethridge, so this is another way I know as far as how to put your car together so that whenever you get things, you can just put it in its spots. And I also have some funny stories about how, well, you'll have to learn, you'll have to get the course. It's too long to go now. But also, it happened to just, have you ever seen on a weather map those red areas? Oh, well, you know what it is, right? Oh, there's about to be this huge thunder cell, and it's just going to rain like crazy. Now, keep in mind, since it's flat land, it can get rather dangerous. Well, it happens during this video that I happened to come upon one of those red zones. And as I'm driving, I'm hydroplaning. I'm going like 20 miles an hour too. Not that I'm trying to deter you, it's just that you might find yourself in a situation where it starts becoming really bad rain. And the Amish person's going to go, see ya. And they're going to walk back in the house, and you're going to be like, what do I do? And I'm saying basically go out to eat, find you something, a church parking lot if it's a little small one. Summer storms happen. So I'm going to explain what you do when it rains and kind of what happens in your worst case scenario. Now, there are places like Niswander's Family Medicine in case you get stung by a hornet or something weird. Keep in mind you're outside, and it's right there within the Amish community. So if you do have something really terrible go wrong, you're right around the corner from somebody that can help you. All right? So don't worry about that. I go into, now this is, for some people, this is the good stuff, all right? I talk about what I call leaving something behind. And I think we've all been, listen, I think we've all been to places where you say to yourself, on usually the last day you're there, I want to come back here. It's either a mountain view or maybe a beach, and you're having the perfect sunset, and you know in the morning you're going to have to leave. So part of your heart almost, or something that almost just stays in that place that makes you want to return. It might not be every year, but you know you want to do that. So what I'm going to talk about in this particular lesson that I'm talking about, it's called Leaving Something Behind, is maybe some things to kind of consider, all right? So it forms in you something that you'd like to go do again. In the second chapter, of course, there's only 3 lessons left. It comes to an end. What I call chronicling your trip and next steps. So I'll talk about something to remember. This is where I'll talk about, taking your little phone out in the car, putting a little Amish scene behind you or something, and making a family photo. Also, this is where we're going to take our handwritten letters and notes, and we're going to take a photo, and all that sort of thing. We're going to talk about chronicling your vacation so that they can, when your kids get to be older and they want to see what mom or dad, how they wrote, you're going to have all this sort of personal thing. Because the Amish do that. Like I said earlier, they have Facebook, they don't have Facebook. If you want to talk to them again, you have to write them a letter and put a stamp on an envelope, and it gets to them. That's how they do mail. They don't have email. They don't even have electricity. It's just something else I cover. I talk about how they don't have ways to make a debit card. You know what I mean? They'll take it, they'll look at it and be like, what do I do with this? I don't even have electricity. And they're not going to have this thing either. So you're going to have to take cash. So I talk about the guy bear anyway, so all that sort of stuff. And you could talk them, and you take a picture of each other and all that sort of. Now you don't have to do this. I'm just saying it's optional. But we're going to talk a lot about how if you're in a church group or a Boy Scout group, or you're just an old man at heart, I don't know, just hearty as whatever it is that you're around other people, and you'd like to talk about your trip with the Amish in a way that is good and entertaining and all that stuff. So we explain a lot in this here as far as how to chronicle it. Then we're going to talk a lot about further learning, and that's where we're going to talk about books. A lot of these books are rather small. They're really good, all that sort of thing. And some websites and some other channels and all that sort of stuff. And then we're going to go to where to go next, and that's kind of the send off. Now keep in mind, in all 4 of these modules, it ends in a quiz. So let's talk a little bit about the quiz. It's not a quiz that fails you, okay? It's really, actually, I'll just be honest. You could take the quiz over and over until you get 100%. I'm not going to fail anybody. That's so silly. Actually, if you do answer a question wrong, it just shows you the real answer. You see what I mean? So even if you pick something goofy, I want it to be fun. Like I say, this course is not going to be like my kind of college type courses. So I want it to be entertaining, and I want you to have fun. I want you to learn a little bit as it goes, and you can watch this over and over and over if you want to. And the quizzes in each module, because each module ends in a quiz that talks about what you learned in that particular module. But in module 4, you do get a quiz that is like a lot longer, a lot bigger, and it's going to talk about questions that's not in the other modules either. And once you get that completed, because like I said a while ago, you could take it till you get 100%, and at the end of that, you'll have a little certificate. And that's just something to have kind of fun. Obviously, it's not going to be like continuing education. I don't think anywhere in the world is going to accept it, as far as being an authentic thing that you can try to get into school with or something. It's not going to be like that, but it's going to be something you can find. It's kind of humorous, and you could share that with your buddies on Facebook or different social media programs. And that's pretty much the end of it. So that's what you're going to learn. Like I say, this video is obviously a little longer, but I wanted to talk a little bit about every single thing you're going to learn in here. So to recap, you're going to find out about the Amish people after you find out about me. But let's face it, I'm irrelevant in a lot of this stuff. I'm just a talking head on a green screen. We're going to talk about the Anabaptist movement from the Reformation. We're going to come across from the European countries over to America. There's going to be a lot of American history in this section too, and how they got to go from Ohio through the Old Order, or establishing the Old Order in Holmes County, to the Swartzentrober line, which is going to come to Ethridge in the 40s. All right, so that's going to show you why they got here and all that sort of stuff. In Module 2, if you remember, this is where we're going to talk a lot about ourselves, what to wear, how to kind of our etiquette, some things that you're going to have to kind of watch out for if you're going to have a really good experience. Module 3 is all about logistics, not just emotional logistics, but physical, like where am I going to stay, what do I want to eat, all that sort of thing. Like I say, I also cover breakfast and donuts and ice cream even. We talk about sushi. We talk a lot about different foods, in that one. Also, things like what else is there to do around here? You know what I mean? Because I don't want to spend, some of you guys aren't going to want to spend all day in the Amish community. You're going to want to maybe do that till noon and then do something else. We're going to talk about that too, and that's just fine with me. It's people that's got a week to stay versus people that want to do it all in a day, which is probably not going to happen. If you come here for one and you only have one day to do it, it's going to be very, very difficult to really get a great experience, all right? It's going to usually take a couple days, all right, to really get a true vacation out of it. And then we're going to skip down into, after Module 3, into Module 4, where we're going to talk about seeing the Amish in person. A lot of tips, a lot of skills, all that sort of thing that's going to help you out. So even if you're local, this course is really good for you. Okay, now if you're anywhere outside of the local area and you're going to be hours away, it's going to be even better. If you're going to fly in and do something like that, this is perfect for you. Okay, so as the years go on, that's kind of how I see it. I did have some, let me just look around here. I've had people from all over the world come here, all right? Uh, you could ask some of our bed and breakfast owners. We had people from Russia to come stay here. They wanted to see the Space and Rocket Center, all that sort of stuff. And I can't even think of all the countries just off the top of my head that I've met personally that have came to the Amish community. In one weekend, I met 4 separate couples from Sweden. All right. Um, Actually, I was at Ike's Amish Depot, and there was this guy with a little Pentax camera, and I said, "Hey, you rocking a Pentax?" And he looked at me, and he kind of looked at his wife, and he kind of like nodded, and he turned to her and started speaking German, and I thought, "Oh, that's why." Well, when they started talking German to each other, this lady, kind of behind them, kind of peeks her little head up, sees them, and starts talking German to them. And me and Mike was sitting there looking, and they kind of snicker to each other. Then they look back at the lady, and then they start having this German conversation. And anyway, he said, "Are you guys together?" And the wife of the couple I'm talking about, they kind of look at each other, and she knew more English than he did, and she kind of like thinks about what to say, and she goes, "We both from Germany," like that, and starts smiling. And I said, "Oh, so not together?" And she's like, nods, and I was like, "Oh, well, what's the odds of seeing 2 people from, or 2 different groups, both from Germany in one spot?" So I felt like I needed to create this course for anybody that's going to come from a longer distance to make a really good experience. So if it is that, if you're not from very far, say you're a local person, or you're from, say, 3 hours or under, okay, which I feel the majority, and you'll still get a great amount of education here. This is probably worth $150, all right? So, but for 50 to 80 bucks, depending on when you're watching this, I feel like it's a really good value. However, keep in mind that the people that's going to get a lot more out of this is going to be the people who have came from, say, 6 or 8 or more hours away, and they're going to have to come here thinking about midpoints and all that sort of thing. So that's kind of how I want to put it a little, all right? I think that for what it is, if there's anything you'd like to skip, for example, you're not coming here, you know about your local attractions, then fine, you just skip that area. However, when it comes to meeting the Amish, some of our like tips and tricks I'm not going to share just publicly, that you're going to get value out of that. So don't think for the life of you that, well, because I go see the Amish, I've been here before, I don't need this. What could I possibly get out of it? Well, you could probably get a lot out of the history, a lot of the etiquette. Like, how do you know you're not making a huge mistake in some of the stuff you say? And they've just never told you about it because you're the English. They kind of expect that out of us. You see what I'm saying? So I believe that everybody who wants to come to see the Amish could benefit from this course. So I'm asking for this sale. So if you don't mind, if this sounds like a great idea, go to look below here where you're going to find button links that's going to take you to the cart page and the checkout. Once you get through the checkout, you're going to find that in your email that you signed up with, and then you became a subscriber during the checkout experience, it's all automated. It all works perfectly. It's all great. Once that happens, you can log in and then just start taking the course, all right? And what we're going to also do is that any updates to the course you get for free. You never have to pay anything at all. You don't even have to pay tax, because in Tennessee, technically for a digital product, I don't even have to charge sales tax. So when it's $50, it's $50 across the board, all right? So once you pay that, that's it. Okay, I take care of all the rest of it. It's yours. It's yours for life. You're never going to clock in here and say, where did it go? And I'm never going to come back and say, well, you have to buy this or that and the other stuff. No, it's whenever you buy it, it's for life. If one day you decide, I would like to take that again, you know what I mean? Then fine, log in and take it again. So we're going to talk about right now is making yourself a bookmark whenever you do get locked in and all that sort of thing, and keep that email, all that sort of thing. Now, what happens if you lose that? What happens if your email gets deleted? All that sort of thing. Just come on here. I'll look you up by name and email and all that sort of thing, and I can send you some different credentials, all that sort of thing. So there's areas of support. You know what I mean? So if you do have trouble one day, all that sort of thing. Now, if you're trying to steal or you're trying to get your buddy to have a copy by giving them different emails, and I'm going to be on to that. Well, for one, my software is going to flag it. All right. So keep in mind, like I say. So let's talk a little bit about if you would like to share it or something like that. I do know that if you live within the same family, and you'd like to share your login and password credentials, even though I'd love for those persons to buy their own copy, I'm just going to let it happen. All right. There's not really much I can do about it. But I would love for you to, if you're wanting to do this, sharing type apparatuses, to have them over to your home and that all of you take it together. That way all of you could be on the same team, the same page, and it can keep everybody together, because I would love for more families to spend more time together. And that's kind of what the Progeny Adventure Group and all that sort of thing is for. All right. I hope you had a really good time in this particular course, or a particular lesson. Sorry, it's habit. In this particular lesson, and that you see this course is for you. I would love for you to go and purchase it. If it's not for you, but you know it's for somebody else, then send them the link to this page and to this video, and then hopefully those people can see if they need to buy it or not. I just want everybody to feel like they have purchased something that they have a lot of value in, that they're getting a lot of education, maybe some entertainment. Maybe you like some of my little jokes, I don't know. And that you use this to write yourself some notes and to have a really good experience visiting the Amish of Ethridge. And hopefully I'll see you in one of these courses here below. Anyway, this is Mike, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.